New episode of Odds and End Zones on the great Bleeding Your Nation Radio podcast. And we're coming at you right now. I'm your host, Shamus Clancy, the deputy sports editor for PhillyVoice.com. I am joined, as always, on this show by my guy, Zo. Zo, how you living?
What's up, brother? Happy post-Memorial Day weekend to everybody. Good to be back.
Do some dad grilling?
Yeah, man. We did some dad grilling. We did some we went to the pool a few days, got out and let the kids ride their bikes, let Amari ride his bike. Got his little scraped elbow, so he's officially indoctrinated as a summer kid. I was a kid
who fell off the bike a million times.
Yeah.
Even when I'm like 12, 13, just scrapes always.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna be that kind of kid. He's gonna, he's also very resilient. So he's definitely gonna be that kid though. He's gonna pop up with scraped knees and elbows and stuff because he's just reckless abandon on that thing. So I'm excited for it because he's learning, but he's definitely gonna be coming in with a busted knee and all this kinds of stuff kid.
I wasn't a broken bone kid. I was definitely a cut up scab kid, but
I was scab kid.
Never broke one.
Not one bone. I didn't have one bone. I was definitely a scab kid. I used to get especially when I got to like grade school and like started really traveling out on my own and like doing stuff. Because we played I was a notorious like concrete football kid. So
yeah,
always coming home with a little scrape or a scratch or whatever.
Ripped sweatpants.
Ripped sweatpants. I mean, my mom would just be beside herself. I'm coming home with straight sweatpants. I mean, brand new sneaks, having a nice size.
I wasn't allowed to wear. I went to Catholic school for grade school, so we had a uniform, like sweater vest and tie and all. And then one day a week we had gym day, so we wore gym clothes to school. I wasn't allowed to wear my nice sneakers to gym class or playing outside after school. So really, there was no point of me having them to begin with. I would just have a pair of like all white Team Force Jordans that I was like almost never allowed to put on my feet. Actually,
I was the same way. And then I had a pair. Just how old I am. When the Bo Jacksons originally came out.
Okay.
I had the white, yellow, and gray pair.
And
I wore it to gym. Still to this day, my favorite pair of sneakers. I wore it to gym one time, and I did well. But I was so nervous. I was like, I don't even want to wear it to gym anymore. I was like, it's too much. That's too much pressure. But I remember I longed for those days because when I was in Catholic school, I wore, even at the prep, like I wore, we wore uniforms all day. So like, by the time the weekend came, my sneakers were still fresh, and then I still was ahead of the game because I wore sneakers like 3 times out of the week.
I had a maroon pair of I guess you would call them the Air Trainer ones.
Yeah,
the original Bows. Ran them into the ground in college, but they were such a great college sneaker because they still looked good. Because maroon was a dark color, and they had a black outsole. They didn't show any grime from some dumb basement party or the bar getting beer spilt all over it and stuff.
And they're super durable too because they're a legit cross training sneaker. So like. They were built to withstand all that stuff.
Yeah, they look good with shorts. Obviously, it's not. Sometimes I feel like Chucks or high tops look weird with shorts. They were good size of that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And if you had jeans on, if it was a little stacked, it still worked well. Or cut, you had your khakis cuffed or whatever it was. It always works out with them. So today we're recording this early Tuesday afternoon, May 31st.
Yep.
Hopefully, you had a nice intro to summer weekend. Over the weekend, I chilled in the city, played some cornhole outside of my little parking lot, alleyway, driveway, whatever you want to call it. Enjoyed some cold ones, some Kenwoods, some ice cold. They redesigned their can.
Yeah, they did. It looks good.
It's actually it's really cool because a lot of times I like to take a picture of it if I'm drinking it to give them a little plug on Instagram. But I'm a big koozie guy. Like I have like a drawer that just overflowing with koozies, just being a nitwit like that. But a lot of times if I'm doing that, you can't take a picture and share it because it just looks like any can.
It's like,
But now they have I think they did this on purpose. I was talking to the guy, Matt Serra, who runs Kenwood. They have
real good guy.
Up near the top of it says like enjoy a Kenny or Kenny's the best. So you could actually still see the branding even when the koozie's on. So I thought it was pretty cool.
I think we've worked with them, and we talked to Matt and those other guys a ton since we've started this, and even before. It's funny to see their maturation as a brand like right in front of your eyes. Like we rarely get to see that and be as close to it, but it's awesome to see just how quickly they've kind of grasped everybody's attention, and how they're getting close to really hitting that pop off point. I'm really excited for them. I think they're super cool bunch of people, and they they deserve all the accolades.
They're today. I think they're getting into Acme in the area for the first time.
Yeah.
Going to be good for the dad brand. I think that's dad. There with the wife or the partner racking up a crazy grocery bill. He sneaks over to the beer aisle real quick and sees a sixer of a nice local beer and picks it up on the cheap compared to whatever. And this is even just a pro Kenwood thing. Allagash White, good beer. You'd agree? Have you ever had it, Peter King style?
Yeah.
So we go to the Foodery, Northern Liberty's like sandwich deli shop. They sell a lot of alcohol.
One of the best.
And we see a sixer of Kenwood. I was like, I actually haven't had it in a minute. Let me pick that up. It'll be good for drinking. And then we saw an Allagash summer lager. So I guess it was more like a Pilsner style, even though it's a lager, but a light lager, whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking like, well, Allagash is usually pretty good. I'll try this. I would assume it's good. It's light, probably nice for like we were doing chilling outside, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, maybe it wasn't the coldest beer ever. And I like my stuff, ice cold.
Ice cold, yeah, that's fair.
But I took a sip, and I'm not kidding. It was the worst beer I ever had. It blew my mind that I didn't like it to the degree I did, just being 28 years old and drinking beer fairly regularly over the last decade or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I compared it. I told Ash it was like drinking a beer for the first time when you're like 14 or 15, like the first time you have like a Miller or Bud Light or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, this is what beer tastes like. This is weird. Or if you're like 19 or 20 trying an IPA for the first time, you're like, oh my God, like what is this? That's what it felt like, even though I was 28 years old. And
everybody remembers their first beer.
And then I go out the next day, walking by the front of my building, and I just see a can of it. That's like, I look up and grab it. It's half filled. That someone had out there. Like someone must have tried it too. Took like 2 or 3 sips and just put it down in front of my building. And just like, I'm not doing this either. I'm not doing it either. I had texted Lawler because he's kind of like a craft beer aficionado to a degree. I'm saying, dude, did you try this? He goes, oh, I have a 12-pack in my freezer or my fridge. I think it's okay. And I was like, really, dude? That thing gets unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then he texts me the next day. He goes, Shamus, I have to be honest with you. You were right about the Allagash. I have it in there. That's a good beer if someone comes over and just be like, hey, you want a cold one real quick? You got this new Allagash out here you might be able to try.
It's a good guest beer. It's like a bag of chips that you actually don't like. It's a good guess.
Yeah, when you get a little takeout from the corner, a little cheesesteak wrap, they throw one in there, and then you leave it, you put it out on a plate next time you have people over.
You're like, oh yeah, how about I got these little cheesesteak wraps while we're waiting. It's perfect.
All right, so what we wanted to talk about today, Dan Orlovsky, ESPN media member, always talking quarterbacks, obviously played in the league himself, infamously played on the 2007, 2008 Detroit Lions that went 0-16.
Yep.
Not really crapping him on that, obviously. Better career than both of us when it came to sports, so no qualms there. But today, he came out with some tiers he did on Twitter ranking quarterbacks in NFL, saying some guys that teams win because of, and then some guys that teams win with. Obviously, you're winning because of a guy. It's because he's awesome. He's playing really well. He can carry your team. Winning with a guy, that means good situation there. He's not necessarily a game manager, but keeping things going, not making crazy mistakes, helping out where he can, though he might not be taking over the game completely. Then he had the rest of the guys he said were people that were either TBD or you win in spite of, meaning even if this guy's hurting you, maybe your defense or running game carries it, and that's why you're winning.
Right.
So I can go over the guys he did for this. He did his first tiers. He had the guys you win because of the NFL. He has Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, spelled Russell Wilson with one L, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Matthew Stafford.
That's fair.
All guys who should be there, I would think.
Yep.
All guys that should be there. And then he has guys you win with. That's his second tier, and this is what caused more controversy.
Yeah, this is definitely this is the one I left off. Right. Yeah.
For his guys he wins with, yes, Mac Jones, and then surprise to me was Tua on there, which I don't necessarily agree with. And we'll see what happens. We're going to talk about that some.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, who I wrote an article about this. We're going to get to my list for Philly Voice. Didn't even include Baker because I didn't even know what he's going to do. I had 32 starters, so a guy from each team plus Trey Lance on mine because I don't know what the hell San Francisco's doing. So for games when he has Mac Jones, Tua, Baker, Ryan Tannehill, who kind of on the border between a win with and win because guy for me. I think he's a guy that could have leaped to the next tier. Matt Ryan, age 37 season, we'll see. We'll see, especially going in. One that I disagree with the most, I'm sure upsetting the Eagles fans, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
As a guy you win with, we lost the Dak Wentz debate a long time ago. I think he's very, very good. I know he's had some injuries the last 2 seasons, but at worst, he's a guy you win because maybe he's a guy that's lower in that tier for you. But as a guy you win with, I think that's pretty wild.
I also think he's a guy. I think if you reverse the criteria, he's a guy that wins despite a lot of stuff. Like he wins despite his defense. Like you know what I mean? Like I think he definitely belongs in that tier.
In spite of the coaching situation they've always had.
Right, his coaching situation a lot, and like we said, a lot of times, in spite of his defense, like injuries and all that stuff, aside, I think like you said, I think Tannehill could lead to that tier. I think Dak definitely belongs and probably obviously below a couple of those other guys, but I think he's earned the right to be there. And then the rest of those guys probably are where they should be. But to your point, the biggest issue is who he left off that list.
He has a couple more on here we could get to. He has Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Another guy a little borderline for me. I think having win with is fine, but he'd be at the top of the win with tier.
Yeah.
Jameis, he's more in win in spite of for me. We'll see what happens in New Orleans this season.
Right. He's got
the talents there. Obviously, it's post LASIK surgery.
Right.
So we'll see.
He's got
when he's played the last couple of years in New Orleans, he has looked good. No Sean Payton there, so we'll see. But I'm not comfortable putting win with here, given what we saw for him from a few years in Tampa Bay.
I agree, and he definitely has. This is definitely a prove it year for him. I thought we say that we said that the past 6 years with Jameis, but he's got a shiny new Chris Olave down there and a couple other young weapons.
Did you see his quote?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Smooth as the other side of the pillow. I was like, that's the best Jameis quote you could have. I love it.
He is a really good soundbite. So I think
the was it E to W?
Yeah.
that's one of the funniest things. That's up there with for funniest stuff that's happened like on an NFL field. The Robbie Anderson Sir Per.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
I think those are like that's tier 1 are those two things.
And I love Robbie Anderson, so he's another guy.
Yeah, Temple guy, right?
But I love him. I love him and Jameis. I love that they used to provide just the most horrific sound bites. You can always count on them for it.
And there's another one with Robbie Anderson where I know the Panthers didn't win many games last year, but they're in the locker room after the game and they're playing Sweet Caroline. And like even the guys you wouldn't think are, Red Sox fans in the 7th inning stretch. And it's just, a classic song if you want. It's probably fun to jam along with, no matter who you are. And then he just looks like so confused when they hit the chorus. Like it seems like he's never heard this song in his life before.
That was hilarious. Because one, I actually do think he's never heard. That was the first time hearing the song, and it's funny because he's also someone who can't hide his facial expressions. He reminds me a lot of Steve Smith. Funny, another Carolina guy, but Steve Smith is the same way. Like Steve Smith can't hide his facial expressions. It's great.
Yeah. Next guy he has on win with. I feel like I'm saying whiz with, like I'm getting a friggin' cheesesteak.
Next guy on the whiz with list.
He has Kyler, which horrible postseason game last year, but the Eagles would trade for him in a second, I think, if they could, as much as they talk up Hurts now. I think
of course.
He's a guy that commands multiple first-round picks on the market. I think he's a win because guy. Sure. I mean, they got to the playoffs because of him. And another guy akin to Dak, where he's winning not in spite, his team's not winning in spite of him. He's winning in spite of his head coach.
Yeah, that's right. His head coach is sabotaging him, and I think he's I know the last thing we read or last thing we saw about him was him saying that he's adamant about not showing up for training camp and stuff like that. It can poor Jalen, right? But it can get.
He thinks he's moving to Houston. He thinks he's moving to Arizona.
The poor guy, man. I genuinely feel bad for him because I just don't think the rumors are going to stop until Kyler shows up on day one of Cardinals training camp, because according to him and his agent, he's not showing up, and he wants a new situation or a new commitment from them, and the Cardinals are like, absolutely not. So I think we got a stalemate there, and I think that they would sooner entertain some sincere offers for him, and obviously if Howie remains in this get the deal done mode, I can't see them not at least calling. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to circle the waters on everyone until he thinks
that's due diligence. You
1,000% that Jalen's it.
Yeah, you absolutely should call.
Yeah, we're going to definitely talk about Jalen today to get into that too. But the last guy he has on his win with section is Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G. And I think he is the definitive win with quarterback.
Yeah.
2 of the last 3 years, the 49ers have made the conference championship game. They almost won the Super Bowl. They were winning in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, if I'm correct in saying that, in the 2019 season.
Yeah.
And all they've wanted to do for the last 2 years is get rid of the guy.
Yeah.
Because they have Trey Lance, who as a TBD to me, I have no idea what to make with him, just because it seems like I don't want to say like a weird situation or a combustible situation, but it's just a little confusing what's going on there. Someone who's not there day to day consuming the Bay Area, media market. Think he's the prototypical win with guy. They have a stacked team around him. Maybe he has 2 or 3 good playoff games, and that's good. Maybe that works for a team, but that's why he's a win with guy. And then Orlovsky follows up and says everyone else is a guy that's either TBD or jury's out on, or whatever you want to say, or you win in spite of. Obviously, leaving Jalen Hurts off that list, that means he's a guy, in his view, where I think he's saying that you win in spite of Hurts. I don't think at this stage he's saying that it's to be decided. I think he's saying that Hurts is an in spite of guy.
Yeah.
And I don't really agree with it. And we could talk about that. I have him. I did a ranking on phillyvoice.com, which you can check out, doing for 33 guys in the league. I had him comfortably in the win with column. He's not a win because guy right now, but it could be this situation this season. We're talking about with Jimmy G and those 49ers teams. Best Eagles roster since the Super Bowl year. And I'm not just blowing smoke up their asses. They're, Howie always wins the offseason, all of those things. But the offensive talent is unarguable. Yeah. They have the best offensive line to me, a little biased, sure, but PFF listed them as the best offensive line last week.
And honestly,
going into the season.
They probably have better.
You have a top 10 receiver. You have another guy you think can be top 10 in 2 or 3 years. You have a top 5 tight end, and you have talented backs. No bell cow guy. Right. There's no Dalvin Cook, but all those guys added up and do some special things when you have Jalen Hurts back there too. Because maybe Jalen Hurts didn't win a lot of games with his arm last year, but he won a lot of games because of his legs. And I think that's a difference there, and that's part of the thing. Hey, you can't win in the postseason with a guy that's like that, and understand that. But I think this situation, this season, I think Jalen will demonstrate because of that talent that you can win with him, because you have that talent around him, because the defense has improved, which is going to make it easier for the offense. Sirianni has another year under his foot. He has a new offensive. He doesn't have to deal with a new offensive system. Jalen does because, in his penultimate collegiate season, he's playing at Alabama still. Last season, transfers to Lincoln Riley's offense in Oklahoma, puts up crazy numbers, put in a new offense. Comes to the league, learns Doug Peterson's offense, plays a little bit at the end of the year. Doug has to learn Nick Sirianni's system. So the last 3 seasons, he's learned a new system. And I don't want to get into the big Sam Bradford, he never has a consistent offensive coordinator.
Right. He's had 4 different offensive coordinators.
Yeah, this isn't on him at this point. He's still 23, 24 years old. Let's see in year 2. I mean, if it's year 5 and we're saying, he's on the Titans now and he has a new offense coordinator, and that's not it. That's not the case with Sam Bradford.
Right.
He's going into his second full year as a starter. It's different.
And I think that there's obviously recency bias, but I think he's also in the conversation bias. 'Cause I think the conversation obviously has been that not so quietly the Eagles were looking all season to upgrade that position
Yeah.
until they finally decided to semi commit whatever however you want to read it. But
He's in the
I
marketing
think
materials now. He's in the
right,
promotional
right. He's
material.
on
He's safe.
the shout out to MCW, but he's on the season ticket holder pamphlet now. But I think that there is a comfortable spot for him in the win with category,
Yeah.
and I think that my main reason is we saw it already. Like the games they won last year were like, yo, it was a good Jalen game. He didn't turn the ball over. He was concise with his passes, so on and so forth. And we recycled that. Yo, it was a good Jalen game. Jalen didn't fumble the ball. Jalen didn't throw an interception. Jalen moved. He moved down the field with his feet. Like that. That's what we were used to last year. This year, we want to get used to. Yo, we won that game because of Jalen. Jalen threw 3 touchdowns. Jalen, got a 4th and 2. Jalen got us 5 with his feet. Like that's the kind of stuff we want to see this year. But I think more than anything, there is him, his coaches, and the guys around him, his teammates, everybody to a T has said the same thing. This is what we love about Jalen. This is what I think Jalen can work on. And it's been nothing but sunshine, and I'm going to get it done from Jalen. And right now, like all we have to do is take him at his word. I think he's a guy who, he certainly reads the press clippings. He knows what people are saying about him and what he can and
He's
can't do.
self-aware.
Yeah, he's more than self-aware, and I think he's also a guy who, has a renewed sense of purpose and a new energy. Like his best friend is going to be right beside him on the field now. Like there's so much to be said about that, and so much to be said about the fact that how he pulled the trigger on that, regardless if he says, he pretty much said it that Jalen hit him up. So, yo, we got to go get AJ. You should try to go get AJ. Like that means a lot, to get that to, and I'm sure the conversation back was, if I go and get AJ, are you going to give him the ball? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. I'm sure it was happening. I'm sure between the two of them and Sirianni, the conversation happened. But I think that last year he was a guy that in games that they won with, and this year it'll just progress from there.
Yeah, and it's games like the Falcons game, they won with him at least. I mean, you can maybe make the case they won because of him. Saints game, at least won with. You can make the case they won because of him. The Washington game, the Tuesday Night Football played really bad early, played great late. Maybe you consider that's a wash and you win with him, but that's all saying that he should be in this tier, and they'll forever be compared to and Hurts. But I think, over their 2 years in NFL, Hurts has showcased way more than Tua at this point. I think that. And I'm a little biased, sure, but having Tua in that category over Hurts doesn't make any sense to me. Either you have Hurts and Tua in there, which I don't necessarily agree with Tua.
Yeah.
We can't have Tua and not Jalen.
No, or just take them or just take them both out. Like, don't. I don't think that you look at what the Dolphins did last year and their push, under Brian Flores, but a lot of the games they lost are because of Tua. Like, because that offense couldn't move the ball and get the ball to a couple of their weapons, and they're under similar pressure because they got Tyreek Hill now and a couple other new young guns, but I think that you either add Jalen to that list or you don't put either one of them on.
Yeah, I think back to in a way that I can't speak to who Tua is as a person, obviously.
Right.
But during his rookie season, the organization really wanted him to take the reins of the job, whereas everyone else in that locker room, and seemed in the coaching staff too, really wanted to ride with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And in that way, it feels a little bit of an anti-Hurts given the dynamic between Wentz and him in 2020, where it seemed like it's the opposite there. You have this veteran, entrenched presence, even way, way, way more so than Fitzpatrick in Miami. It's way different. Keys to the city type guy in Wentz. And then it seemed like the most liked guy in the locker room, people liked the most or gravitated the most, was the backup quarterback. It's the inverse there. And when you're getting into more things that are, when you're talking about win with rather than win because or win in spite of, those guys, to me, to a certain degree, need to have an intangibles element to them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because a lot of it's rallying late, all that kind of, Disney movie BS at the end. And Hurts has that, obviously. Say what you want about his arm. Everyone likes him.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
Plays well under pressure, relatively speaking, and he's going to put your team in a position to win. Maybe he's late in the game. We'll see. But likability, as we've seen from the 2017 through 2021 Eagles, is important for a quarterback.
I think guys trust him, and I think that matters more than anything because we now know for sure that there was a 50-50 split on 11 in that locker room.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of guys who didn't trust him. And there's a lot of guys who were on the fence who just didn't know what to think about him.
Yeah.
But I think they're right now at least on that offense, where it matters, everyone believes and trusts Jalen. And I think that, you go down, we just mentioned the offensive line, but the leaders on that offensive line, the more specifically his center, all believe in him and all trust him. You know what I mean? And I think that more than anything, that matters regardless of what your receivers think and your backs think. Having the trust of your offensive line means the world. Those are the guys who literally protect you and guard your life on Sunday. So I think that's off the charts. And I think the intangibles, they do matter. We talk a lot about it, and, we won't have much else to go off of until, another couple weeks from now when they kick off training camp and really get going. But I think it absolutely matters. The intangibles and likability and, what do your coaches and teammates say about you leading into this second year?
Yeah. Want to hit you with my tiers?
Yep, let's do it.
So I went one above the win because I think there's a certain tier of guys that if you put them on any team, they're going to be on a path towards contention.
I agree.
I kind of labeled it as the alien tier in a way, just guys who are otherworldly players.
I agree.
And it seems like a pretty easy top four to me between Brady, obviously, Mahomes, Rodgers, Josh Allen.
Yep.
Putting those guys in any team, any situation, I think you're making the postseason because of their presence. We'll see what happens from there.
Do you how I guess it's too early to tell. Where are you on? I'll tell you where I am on him, but where are you on Joey B? Is he closer to that list, or is he closer to still in win with category, or like?
I'm on win because. So I have another tier that's win because, and I said Herbert and Burrow are the two most likely guys that if I were to do this come next year, they could be on that alien tier list.
Yeah.
Guys who are otherworldly.
Yeah.
And maybe Burrow deserves that right now. And if you want to make that case, fine. I'm not going to do it after that second season as a starter. But we'll see with Herbert too. I need him to win a playoff game before I put him up there. I need him to just make the postseason before I put him up there, even though obviously talent, arm talent, strength, accuracy, whatever, all undeniable. But let's actually see it. Let's actually see you make the playoffs, and maybe you don't do unbelievably. I'd like to see you win a playoff game before I put you up there as a guy who can be unstoppable in any situation.
Yep.
So I have a large list for win because I think there are still a lot of talented QBs in the league. Talked about Dak. I have Dak there.
Yep.
You think Dak would be there?
Yep.
Herbert, Burrow, Lamar, kind of a forgotten figure in a way. I think, maybe if you asked me after the 2019 season, I might have him in that top tier.
Yeah. Alien tier. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how his body holds up. I know he's got.
Yeah, it's a little rough with that situation. It's you kind of get nervous, especially if you're a Ravens fan, and I think that's why people have critiques of guys who are rely heavily on their legs, and it's more so than just during the postseason you need to drop back 35 times, whatever. There are durability issues there, and they're always going to be. And he has kind of more of a slender frame, but if he's healthy on his field, they're one of the most consistent organizations in sports.
Right.
I have faith in them to do well and win because of him.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyler, we talked about him. He should be on here. Stafford, not an alien guy to me, but they literally won the Super Bowl because of him and everything around him. Have him on there.
Stafford.
Russell Wilson, a guy 2-3 years ago made head in that top tier, but right now let's see what happens if there's a Denver revitalization. Derek Carr, I think better than people think. I like Derek Carr a lot.
Yeah, I like Derek Carr.
Respect him. Matt Ryan, a guy I'm a little iffy on.
Yeah.
But I think going to a new team, they could really help them. We saw Indianapolis have success with, end of career Phillip Rivers for, 15 out of the 17 games looked pretty good with Wentz last year. And I think Matt Ryan right now just given everything that's happened in Wentz's career, is a better quarterback than Wentz. So I have him there for now. It could be a guy, after the season, it's more win with, or he gets closer to retirement. But right now, I have him on that like the lower end of the win because guys.
And I don't think that I think that he'll do well because I don't think he'll need to do much there. They have
and you have JT.
Yeah, JT. They have an amazing defense that's going to win them some games. I think he'll just need to. He's better than game managed. I think he'll just need to play as close to mistake-free football as possible, and they'll be fine. Like feed JT, matriculate the ball down the field. And then, let your defense take care of the rest.
And if he's just a win-with guy, that's a win for them. That's exactly what they want.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
I have Deshaun, which, whatever, but he's obviously very good.
Yeah.
A guy I have on the border right here, maybe I'm hedging. Originally in my rankings, I had Ryan Tannehill as a win-with guy.
Right.
In the actual article, I had him as a win-because guy.
Right.
Give him the benefit of the doubt. I said because he had them as the 1 seed last year. That team was decimated by injuries. Yep. Obviously, the rushing attack wasn't the same after Derrick Henry went out. In his 2019 season, his 2020 season, he was super duper efficient. So I'm going to have him still as a win-because guy. Maybe things change another year or so. But right now, lower end right there, still really like him as a QB.
I like him. He's another guy, though, I would say is probably teetering toward the are you going to
come October, he could be another one,
right? Like come October, he's right. He could be another guy who's like, all right, dude, like we've given you everything we think you need, and like it's time to show improvement. Like that, I think that defense is still really really good, but they're getting long in the tooth. They just lost. A couple of guys on that offense, obviously. And Derrick, I love Derrick Henry, but also, how many more years are you going to trust Derrick Henry to run for 2,000 yards? Like,
I mean, he's like an all-time freak, like unparalleled.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Player, but at the same time, like he's still a human being, and it's the NFL. We've seen, Priest Holmes have 3 ungodly years and then turn into just an old man.
Turn pedestrian, right, dude? Like your body just can't, regardless of. I know they share videos of his off-season workouts all the time, but like it doesn't matter how hard you work out. Like eventually, your body.
He was just running up the hill. You see that?
Yeah, he was running slants on that hill. Like he's all. I mean, he's a freak of nature who can obviously prove us wrong, and he probably will. But I wouldn't take my chances in wasting many more of his top producing season.
Yeah, you can't. So then I moved down to also what's the best off-season workout? Because I think the NFL ones are way cooler than the NBA ones because you see guys doing more unique stuff. The one I always talk about with my buddy from college is Aaron Donald with the knives. Yeah. The guy is just putting knives on him and he's just doing karate on like jiu-jitsu on knives.
The ones I like, so I'll give you 2 from both sports. I do think the NFL ones are better because like you said, like I think you see guys doing more position-based stuff like AD.
And then Ben Simmons obviously soured me on all.
And then
right,
that's part of it. Listen, we as Sixers fans, from the Fultz Zapruder tapes to the Simmons tapes, like we are more than soured on summer league tapes and summer workout tapes. So I would say I do like to watch the guys when they meet up in the open gym runs. I think that's really cool to see, especially watching guys like Tyrese Maxey go at it with other veterans. I do love to see that. I think that's really cool. And then on the NFL side, I think AD's workouts, with his trainer with the knives is super cool. And I really do think that this is so funny because about this guy. Miles Sanders works out with a guy locally who absolutely kills his NFL trainers.
Nice.
This guy absolutely crushes him. And I saw a couple of workouts on Instagram. So the guy works. He definitely works. I think, like we said, there's some kind of disconnect between it translating to the field. But that dude is in top-notch shape, man. It's a grueling workout that I think is really cool. It's kind of intrinsic. I like it.
Yeah, I've had my criticisms, but at a certain point, if he rushed for 1,300 yards this year, I wouldn't be like the most surprised person in the world either.
That's what I'm saying. Right. I think Going back to Jalen, like I think that's also so crucial for year two. I guess success. They gotta have consistency from that running game. I feel like we're calling in the talk radio, keep saying it, but it's the truth. They gotta have some kind of consistency there.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with Miles. So I really, really hope for all of our sakes that he's able to put it together this year.
So I did a win with tier. So we had Tannehill kind of at the edge of win because on
Yep.
the sheet I'm looking at, I still have Tannehill as win with. But Jimmy G, as we decided, the ultimate win with guy to me.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins, right there. I think he's pretty akin to Jimmy G. Puts up better stats, but kind of right there in terms of the playoff maneuverability and contention paths. Mac Jones, I think he was exactly that. He was exactly what the Patriots needed in 2021. But a guy who went after some bigger names in the draft last year, but had the most successful rookie season. Obviously, that's context-based, but win with is the most context-based aspect in these rankings in this tier. So I have him there. Jalen, which we talked about. And then I had Wentz there. That's one you could have in spite of, I think.
Yeah.
But just given the way they performed earlier in that season where he was a game manager most of the year, I know he made a lot of knucklehead plays at times, but they seemed overall okay with him before he crashed and burned at the end of the year. But I'd have him as, the last guy in that tier. 3 weeks into the season, he could be not starting for the Washington anymore. So who knows? Then the win in spite of tier is long just because it's like best of the rest or worst of the rest. Whatever.
Worst of the rest.
Drew Lock, Trubisky. The first time I did the list, I didn't have him on the list just because I forgot who their quarterback was. And I realized I had Wentz and Taylor Heineke. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I can't have two of those guys. And I had to Google NFL. Sometimes when I'm working, I have to Google NBA teams or NFL teams just to make sure I looked at a whole list. So we had that. Goff, which seems, maybe they were winning in spite of him in LA, but in Detroit, he's definitely in spite of guy at this point.
I agree.
Mariota, I'm a Mariota Lloyd, forever will be because of the Chip and Oregon stuff. Wrote an article about Chip Kelly era today, doing a little worst stuff, some of my least favorite stuff in Philly sports this week. Wrote about the Chip era today. It was kind of cathartic and fun, but still love Mariota. I'll say they have some weapons in Atlanta for him.
Yeah,
they have some weapons for him in Atlanta.
Yeah, they got Drake. I'm a big Drizzy fan. I think he's going to be great. I wouldn't have drafted him that high, for my liking, but I like him. I like him. Kyle Pitts, Philly guy, Catholic League guy, is going to be great. I think he certainly got some weapons, man. That should not be an excuse. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So we have Jameis there, who we talked about. I put Tua here. Obviously, it could be a situation where maybe he's a win-with guy.
Yep.
Davis Mills, a guy I considered putting in the TBD situation, but just based off on the draft pedigree, I left him here for now.
Sure. Yep, I agree.
Even though he performed statistically better than Lawrence and some other guys. Then Sam Darnold, obviously, disastrous move to part with some picks for him for Carolina. And then TBD, it's 4 other first-round picks from 2021. You got Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Trey Lance.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Zach Wilson could be pretty good. I don't know if the New York Jets are the correct infrastructure for that to happen. Very bullish on Trevor Lawrence with our guy Doug P there. That's my goat right there. So I'm really excited to see what happens with them. Obviously, the Eagles play them early in the season this year too. That'll be in Philadelphia. That game will have they have a lot of juicy games this year between Doug coming back, Carson coming back on Monday Football. And I think the team is better than it's been in the last couple of years too. So it's going to be a fun season.
And if nothing else, they're going to have a new personality. They're going to play really, really hard.
Yes.
They're going to be really nasty. That's how Doug likes his teams. They're going to be tough. They're going to be tough out regardless. So they may not. We may not see improvement in the wins, but they'll definitely be way more competitive.
Oh, I need to look up the. Because we thought it'd be cool to see Wentz play against Doug because they were both in AFC, and we know in a weird way the Jags always own the Colts, but since they're playing the AFC South this year, or whatever you want, I think Washington would play Doug this year. Let me see Washington Commanders schedule. How about during a dime where the Eagles playing on Monday night or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is.
So. On. No, they don't. Why did I think that? I don't know. Jaguars?
Oh, that's annoying.
I could just be wrong. Oh, they played Jaguars week 1.
Yeah,
I scrolled down too fast. Sunday 1 o'clock Sunday game. I guess the Eagles game on week 1 is in Detroit. So that's a 1 o'clock game
that's
too.
a 1
So
o'clock.
maybe if you do the double TV you got going on with the Red Zone or Sunday ticket, that'll be a fun one. Or DVR, whatever.
Yeah, that should be fun. 1,000%.
Yeah. Maybe the Eagles get over a little early. You can get the Red Zone in for the last 2 minutes of that game.
Right. I mean, they should. Detroit's going to be they're a fun nerd team, but that game should be one where I'll be interested to see the Birds kind of flex a little bit against that Detroit back nine and see see what we get. I think that Detroit is a lot like past Birds teams where I feel like their offense is probably going to be the best part of them, at least for the first half of the season. They got one of our guys leading the charge for them there, and they recouped that O line and got a couple receivers coming in. So I think it'll be a fun game, but obviously the Eagles are much more talented. So hopefully the Birds they take care of business and we can hit the clicker over to see Dougie P versus Carson.
Our guy Jeff McDevitt, when the schedule broke, little nervous. That's a opening day, week 1 opener trap game.
Well, a lot of people
a little nervous.
Yeah. You know what?
That's a noon start time, I guess, because they're
rightfully though. I mean, rightfully. Like I said, Detroit is also coming in and they want to prove some stuff. They want to prove that they're not.
Week 1's the wonkiest week too.
We want super wonky because they're not the same team. Like if they lose that game and then play Detroit in week 10, there's going to be 2 different teams.
Yes.
So it's always some nuttiness that goes on.
My guy forever, always been a big fan. Darius Slay returned to Detroit. He had a lot of juice in that game last year. Played really well. Obviously had an unbelievable season where I think he should have garnered All-Pro consideration.
Yeah.
But I could see a little opening drive pick 6 for him, getting things going in the old stomping grounds.
Opening drive pick 6. I mean, he said it himself. There's always a little extra juice when you go back there, especially if he's been there. He was there forever. So
he was there for a long time, had a lot of success, but a lot of notoriety.
He does.
Jalen taking the field, already up 7-0.
Right. They had to leave when Slay left the field. Right.
I like that. All right, want to finish up with some. That's a lot of football talk for May 31st, and I like it though. I'm so juiced right now. I've been doing that worst week stuff you could see on Philly Voice. I'm talking to them Tuesday, Monday. I wrote about one of the worst games I ever attended. I saw a South Philly doubleheader in October 2011 where Eagles blew a 20-point lead to the 49ers in the second half, and I went and watched the Phillies lose the playoff game to the Cardinals that night. It was terrible. Today I wrote about the Chip Kelly era, do some stuff about uniforms, the best and worst plays this year. So I'm doing some pre-writing, I'm in such football mode. But I do want to stop.
I'm was talking to my buddy the other day. We're going through a couple of college football things. Like I'm looking at potential tailgates for the Birds. Like I'm absolutely in football pill right now. I think summer is funny because you think it's going to be there's a long time, but like if you really look at it, we're already in June. Next thing you know, it's 4th of July, and teams start reporting the week after that. So we're literally
I should be at OTAs on Friday this week.
Right,
so we got a lot of stuff.
We're mere 40 days away from it getting really serious. I'm excited.
This will be the first season since I guess I'm a senior in high school. Andy Reid's the coach, where I don't tailgate a game all season.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Or go to a game as a fan. I
knew the answer because you told me how you were going to have to dress for games, but I'm glad to see the confirmation. It'll be interesting though, man. I think like we said, it's going to be a new view for you. I think though,
as I said last week, I think I'll remember the plays a little bit better.
And then, another thing I was thinking about too, it'll be cool for you to kind of get the fan perspective from a reporter's view.
Yeah.
Showing up like 2 hours early and doing like getting like a couple of sound bites and maybe one or two questions, and then going upstairs and really piecing it all together. It's like, oh yeah, like this like opening day from
dapping up Howard Eskin on Monday Night Football.
dapping up the king, right? It'll be fun though, man. I think it's a nice change of pace. Who knows? It might be if they wind up winning the Super Bowl this year, you may never be able to tailgate ever again.
If that's like one of those like the rights to Ricky Sanchez here, obviously, right? Like the jigsaw. If you ask me in summer 2017, either the Eagles win a Super Bowl but you can never tailgate again,
right?
Or that you could tailgate every game for the rest of your life and like have no physical or mental deficiencies, right? But they never win the Super Bowl.
They never win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
that's a perfect. Hey,
I did one Super Bowl as the super fan number 99 or whatever you want to say, and then
right, he does fine.
Doing one for the media, one for them, one for me.
Like if I remember, I was telling a friend of mine, like what if we were the mush? Like what if I was the mush, like the second round mush? And that's the reason that like the Sixers never got past the second round. And they were like, yo, would you skip the whole second round of playoffs or like the playoffs in general if it meant though that they win a championship? And I said yes. Like, I would stop at game 41 at home and not even think about going to a playoff game if I knew they were going to win. Like that, I want our teams to win more than anything. So I would be perfectly fine with that.
Would you not watch a second round game if it meant you could attend the first Eastern Conference Finals home game weekend tailgate?
Yes. Is that right? I've come very close to doing that anyway. So yes, I absolutely do that.
Do you want to talk Stranger Things?
Yeah, man, for sure.
I got close up. So I'll give you guys like 5-10 seconds to realize we're going to be talking about Stranger Things season 4. Deuce, we'll be talking spoilers. Spoiler alert. I'm a crazy spoiler guy. So spoiler alert. I don't know how in-depth spoilers we're going to get, but I just want to say that to begin with to give everyone nice things. First 7 episodes came out. The last 2 are movie length coming out 4th of July weekend. So again, reminder, if you haven't seen Stranger Things, don't want to get spoiled or hear any little bits. I'm someone who doesn't want to is going in completely clean, Frank Costanza style.
Yep.
No, I think clean. I want to go in clean. I was nervous because of this big gap in between season 3 and season 4 that this show lost its juice. It debuted in 2016. 2016 in the world, in the streaming world, in the entertainment world, it was a huge different place than where they are now, especially within Netflix itself. Yeah. Right. All the changes going on there. So I thought it's a show that may have, fall out of it's not the zeitgeist anymore to watch Stranger Things. It's not everyone's talking about. And I enjoyed the last 3 seasons. I like season 3 more than I like season 2.
Yep.
Season 4, up there as good as season 3 or season 1 to me, through 7 episodes. People like to make fun of that production budget where it was $30 million an episode. I will say they're getting their money's worth at the production with a lot of the world building and different things we're seeing that just aren't, in Hawkins when it's the upside down. You're seeing all of those things. Vecna looks unbelievable. He looks like a, Star Wars, Marvel movie, whatever you want, like a, blockbuster movie quality villain in terms of the construction. And
when I first saw him, I was like, maybe that's what cost $30 million. Like he is legit.
Yeah. He's the budget guy.
Yeah. He's the budget. Right. He looks incredible. I mean, he looks everything like you would want in a final boss. Like he looks like, and it's, again, spoiler alert. I'm not going to go too deep in it, but like, he also looks like someone who, sometimes you want to believe that there's a chance for your heroes to actually lose. He looks like someone who could beat them,
yes.
like he looks like someone who Elle could actually lose to in that final episode. And you're like, whoa, so, I was scared too for the same reasons. And I'll add one more. And only because I've seen people comment on this, the actual actors have gotten older, and their voices are starting to change, and that
the only one who I think looks too old is Lucas.
Yeah, well, Lucas,
he looks like he should be playing shooting guard at Kentucky.
Lucas is too old, and 2, He's got his grown man swag about him. Like
he has the awesome fade now, and he just
he's
has
got
that
an
deeper
awesome
voice. I was like,
fade.
this dude looks like
He's gotten
he's a
taller. He's like,
Chad.
he's a beast now.
Yeah.
And he also is. He's like grown into his body. Like he looks like he can be a D-back right now.
Whereas Dustin still looks 10.
Right. Dustin still got the same hat and curls. He looks like it's still season 1. It's perfectly fine. But I was impressed with Vecna. I was impressed with the setting. I'm honestly impressed. I've always been impressed with this though, but the soundtrack continues to blow you away.
That Kate Bush song was awesome.
That Kate Bush song was terrific. I loved every second of that episode, man. I really I will not give
the
it away.
Dear Billy episode. I think that was episode 3 or 4 of this season.
I think it's
be the one that's going to be
4.
garnering
I
all the
highly
praise.
suggest. Yeah, if anyone who just started it, episode 4 is one you definitely want to lock in for. It's probably the best one of this short season. Terrific episode, and probably the one I had to look it up. Probably the one they spent the most money on, just for the cinematography and stuff like that. But I have no expectations. Like I feel like this is one show that doesn't owe me anything. So I feel like these last couple of episodes, I'm just gonna take it at face value and see what happens. But I do feel like they've done a great job up until now in making me believe that there's a chance that they could lose.
Yeah, I think season 5 will probably be the last season.
I agree.
That. So I wonder, when you're talking about them losing, I wonder if we're getting into kind of Avengers Infinity War Endgame territory, where this season's going to end on a loss, like Empire Strikes Back, ending on an L, and then they come back and win next season to wrap things up.
I get the sense that there has to be some kind of, at least at that moment, insurmountable loss, and then they spend like an Endgame, they spend the first half of season 5, which is probably going to be the last season, like we say, trying to, 1, recoup, and 2, trying to figure out who they are moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get it. I get the sense that like whoever survives is going to be spread out. They're each going to be fighting their own personal demons and saying, I haven't talked to such and such forever. Like I haven't seen Mike in 6 years. Like blah blah blah. So I think that we should at least brace for that. Like there's going to be some kind of loss, and season 5 is probably going to be most of them trying to piece together their world again.
What do you think is more believable as a storyline? In a town in Indiana, they have kind of a necro world that lives underneath that town, or like 3 normal people could break out of the Iron Curtain in 1986.
I think the town,
the Upside Down is more. That's more believable than the other thing. It's really fun. Like I'm not. People get too upset and worked up at shows that need to have this like great, emotional weight or describe art in the the Obama era or Trump era or post-Trump era, all those things. Sometimes I just want to sit and watch a show that's a little spooky, a little fun, a little funny.
Yeah,
all
that's
those
it,
things.
Man. Like
I'm a popcorn flick guy. Flick guy.
I do. I don't care at all, man. I think people take that stuff too serious. I think it's very fun to watch, 3 bumbling adults make their way in and out of the Iron Curtain. But yeah,
the dude who played Jock and Hagar on Thrones in there. When I saw him, I was like, yes, let's go.
Oh, dude, that was the one I did. I slammed I put my hands up for that one, and obviously that Max and Lucas moment in episode 4 is the one I put my hands up for. I was like, this is great. Like this is great storytelling. I felt like I haven't responded to a show like that probably since Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
like early Game of Thrones, like the visceral response to like
where you're rooting for these characters and this
characters and stuff,
huge universe that you're so sucked in over the last half dozen years.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to how they close this season out and what next season looks like. I think that I know that Lucas is. It'll also be interesting to see how many of them want to come back, because I think that also. They're older, in real life, and I think that at some point, they want to be detached from it and not just be known as the Stranger Things guys. And
I feel like Millie Bobby Brown has to be absolutely sick of this.
I'm gonna say, I know Millie. Like, I know she's probably like, dude, I'm probably done being 11. Like, like I'm
she feels like she's still 11 years old. And I know that's not the reason for her name, but in a way, like that still feels like a kid because she's so tired.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they had her. She had the again.
She had the cut again.
Right, she had the cut again, and like
she was probably. She got so much money in that contract for that haircut.
Oh, please. Yeah.
So was she hiding it with a wig and all the press lead ups?
I think she was. I'm sure.
Me and Ash were talking about it. We thought that was the case.
I'm sure they obviously had a wig or something, but yeah, that bad boy is nice and skimmed.
What do you think? Are you team Nancy and Jonathan or Nancy and Steve? Because in season 1 and 2, it seems like Nancy and Jonathan, because of the shared trauma, seem to be together.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best parts of Stranger Things over the last 3 seasons is Steve's character development from the, stereotypical like high school douche guy, popular kid, like would cut my pinky off to have his hair.
Right. Yeah.
To a guy who's incredibly empathetic. Yeah. His relationship with Robin has really helped him grow as a person too. I'm thinking like, I don't necessarily want Nancy to cheat on Jonathan, even though Jonathan is, breaking up with her in slow motion to a degree with just kind of ignoring everything, which I think is effed up in its own right.
Yeah.
But Nancy and Steve, it feels right.
I think I think the universe, and their universe is different than ours, but I think the universe is like the forces are pushing those two not so slowly together. Like Jonathan's checked out from that relationship, dude. And it's like, I think Nancy's the only one that maybe doesn't want to see it, or like is just taking her opportunity.
It was overdue for Jonathan to become a gigantic stoner.
Right. Like that was more than obvious. So I
says the guy wearing a tie-dye shirt.
Right. I think her and Steve are probably what's going to happen, and I think rightfully so. I think, like I said, her and Jonathan just sometimes things like that in those shows run their course. But I think it's good to see that. I think the shared trauma is cool, but I think that they finally just we are just mentally just checked out, both of us, from this. So I think her and Steve are just inedible right now.
You talked about the moments where you wanted to cheer watching it. Mine was when they were looking for a replacement for the Hellfire Club. They're walking down the hallway in slow motion, and then you see Erica pop up. Me and Ash were like, yes!
I think that another thing that they do that's really good, the character pop-ins are so good. They're so good at this, they're slowing it down, slowing the camera down, slowing the motion down, and then in comes someone you half forgot about, or someone you were rooting for, and you're like, it's great. They're so good at that. Even season 1, they were like that, was really good, and season 3 they were really, really, really good at that. I loved it.
What I think is so great about the show is that over the last 3 seasons, they've added so many new characters that I care about more than the original cast.
Yeah.
Whether it's Robin, Erica, Eddie, Billy, all unbelievable characters, not just on top of the character development of the other characters too.
And I think that that's the reason that you can stand the other characters getting older, is because these characters, they weren't thrown at us. They weren't thrown in our face. They were intertwined in the storylines that made it make sense.
It felt organic.
Right. So it felt organic. And the other part is they didn't, for 4 seasons, they didn't just have it be the original 4, or the original 5. That would have been super lame. I would have tired of that after the second season. I'd be like, all right, this is corny. All you do is have them, the 5 of them, going on different excursions. But I think it's really cool that they mix it up and they have a different group each year. Each year there's a different group of our personal crime fighters, or the people, the main characters. So I think that that's another reason it continues to stay fresh too.
I love it. Really.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I almost don't want to hit the shore for the July weekend because I want to pause down and watch that and make sure I don't get spoiled. Because the one episode 7, these were all over an hour this season. Yeah. We watched the first 6 of the 7 this past Saturday, and I was like, We just watched 8 hours of Stranger Things in a row. That's insane.
Yeah.
So Steven, episode 8, I should say episode 8 is, I think, an hour and 25 minutes.
25
minutes.
And
episode 9 is 2.5 hours. That's insane. Like, I don't even want to sit in a Marvel movie that's 2.5 hours as much as I like them. Like Doctor Strange movie, which I didn't like. That's a discussion for that other time. Was 2 hours and 6 minutes. So I was like, oh, that's a perfect runtime for me. 2.5 hours for an episode of a TV show streaming is outrageous. And I need a lot of people to die. I need the production budget for the episode alone to be, $80 million.
That's what I'm saying.
Everything at me for that one.
I'm thinking the same. I'm like, dude, I need people to die. I need stuff blown up. I need literally Hawkins to be blown up. Like
3 Mile Island Hawkins style.
Right. Like, this is nuts. I for 2.5 hours, you got to keep me dialed in. Like, I need some secret guest appearances. I need all of it.
The guy who plays Murray, he was on. Sure, what's that show, Love, on Netflix? It was a Judd Apatow show.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple episodes. Yeah,
he was in it, and he was like such a kind of like a dirtbag guy in there. And he's so good at these characters. He's a really good character actor. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, what a show, man! I'm thoroughly impressed. I thought that they didn't have it in them, but I'm extremely impressed.
Yeah, when the final 2 episodes come out, when we do a pod that week or the following one, we'll have to wrap it up with some more Stranger Things talk and give our theories going into what we assume the season 5.
Season 5.
Anything else?
I'm all good, man. I think we'll keep on keeping on with summer birds, and training camps really on the horizon. The OTAs this week. So I'm excited, man. I'm ready for some football for sure.
Yeah, and you can follow Zo on Twitter at @Schweetz_by_Zo. Always great Sixers Philly content. I shouldn't just say Philly sports or Sixers or Eagles content, just great Philly content. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Shamus_Clancy. Again, I'm the deputy sports editor of PhillyVoice.com, so be sure to check out there. We'll be having a lot of Eagles training camp coverage hands-on this year between myself and Jimmy Kemsky from Philly Voice, who are part of BGN Radio. Obviously, Brandon Lee Gowton of BleedingGreenNation.com. So we're going to have some immediate aftermath pods of some of the practices this year between Jimmy, myself, and Brandon. So we're bringing a lot of good content on Philly Voice, BGN Radio, everywhere in between. Be a fun summer for the birds, and definitely going to be a fun season.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you, bro.
All right, bro. Be good.